Welcome to the Local Farmer Podcast, where we invite you to join us on our farming journey. Whether you're a seasoned farmer or you're just getting started, we are here to learn and grow together. Our goal is to help encourage, inspire, and equip the local farmer. So let's grab our boots and let's dig in. All right, hey, welcome back to the Local Farmer Podcast. I am Brandon.
I'm John.
And it's cold.
Very.
It's winter. It's snowy right now. And we've got some really exciting things to talk about on this episode. But before we dig into that, hey, where can they find us right now?
As always, Facebook, Spotify, X, TikTok. Where else? All our podcast platforms like I already said that. Spotify.
Yeah, Spotify, Facebook, Instagram, all those things.
There you go. I knew I was forgetting one.
No, you're good. I was just drinking this water that you made me, and these are like
those ice cubes?
I do like those ice cubes. I was like, huh, who knew?
Yeah.
Those are really cool.
They're big. Like 2 inch by 2 inch
Yeah,
squares.
it's hard to see there, but hey, well, awesome. Hey, let's dig in.
Dig in.
We have piglets.
Whoa.
We have piglets.
News. Check it out on Facebook.
Yeah, we have just a few things on there. We wanted to make sure we got this podcast out before we started posting a bunch about it. But we have piglets. So if you haven't, we encourage you to go back and listen to some of the earlier episodes where we talk about us stepping into using AI and trying this out. Like, we wanted to try it out, and when we first started, there were more pros than cons by doing this. And
yeah, well, we did have Boris. Remember Boris? So
we
thought,
Boris.
well, we talked about AI all the way back originally,
Yeah.
before we even started. But then we ended up, somebody gave us Boris, and we're like, well, that's great. We'll have a boar. Didn't work out for us. I mean,
he would have smushed them.
Yeah.
The ladies.
Yeah, and he smushed everything.
Yeah. So let us take you back a little bit to we have done AI twice now. Mm-hmm. And so the first one, obviously, this whole thing has been learning. Oh, yeah. Everything that we've done is learning. So hopefully...
Yeah, we're both first generation.
Yeah.
And we didn't have any mentors or grandparents or parents that... even buddies that did this and could walk us through. So we literally went to YouTube University, or you did, on the pigs, and just trial or error, and you nailed it, man.
Well, so the first AI, we did 3 pigs, and just to give you a little bit of why I mean, all the way up until like the week of, I was still doubting, like, if she was pregnant, and you might be like, dude, you should have known. But you have to understand. That's why I want to tell you a little bit. So we purchased the juice, and they say that it's like 7. I think you maybe get 10 days out of that once it's harvested and on your doorstep, if it's properly stored. Okay. This was our first time, so we didn't even know. Like, we noticed that they were going into heat, and so we kind of just went ahead and purchased it. And the first one wasn't in standing heat right away. I mean, really.
Yeah, we may have got it, a few days earlier than we should have.
Yeah.
And that is all learning. Like, you can watch all the videos you want, but
until you do it,
seeing it, and some of that stuff too is, and that's why we do what we do, because we're trying to go back and show you fails too. A lot of times you get on, social media or Facebook or YouTube or whatever it is, and you watch an instructional video, and they didn't show you all the wrongs they did it. So they do it, and it looks easy and great. And then in real life, it's a little bit of here and there, and there's some gray area. And
they'll say like, you'll do this, and then you'll feel a pop. And then you start second guessing yourself. It's like, was that the pop they're talking about? I don't know. Or like, you feel a vibration, and you're like, is that the vibration? Am I supposed to be, whatever it is. So anyway, I would say it would be closer to the back end of what they said was the lifespan of this.
Yeah.
We hit that on the first one. So right away, we got the first one with one dose. She was in standing heat, so I got her one time, and then I went back 12 hours later, and she wasn't in standing heat. So we moved on to the next one, which is 2 days later. So now we are out of the window of
on the juice
good. And just let you know, we probably did not properly store it, and so that's the other. It gets confusing. You'll see why it gets confusing. Why I was so confused all the way up to a week of the birth. And so the second one, I hit her twice. I got the opportunity to do that twice, and so then she came out of standing heat, and I was like, okay, well, the green one. And we've labeled them by colors because we've got markers on them. So anyway, the green one was the last one, and she was way over the time frame of them saying it's still good.
Yeah.
But we said we're not going to waste this.
Right.
I'd rather put it in something and then
and it's pro practice. And, and worth a shot.
Yeah. So then
it was like in a football game, the Hail Mary at the end of the game.
it really was, and we caught it. Yeah. But so then 21 days rolled around, and the girls, it looked like all of them, well, 2 of them went into standing. Actually, no, that's wrong. The first 21 days, it didn't look like they went back into heat.
Right.
So we were both like,
we skipped a one cycle there.
Yeah. And we were like, look, they're not in heat. This is awesome. And then another one rolled around, and we were like, they're definitely in heat. But this green one still, like, we questioned her being in heat, that first one, that the other ones were definitely. The second one, we still went, I don't know if she's actually in heat or not. Now, the green one is the biggest one. Right. She automatically is. So it's kind of like you're looking at her going like, okay, so is she pregnant?
We always doubted too, because they're all sisters, and we've got one that is open. So we're gonna,
she's gonna go to the market,
because we've never seen her come into heat.
That's right.
And maybe we questioned that for a long time. We probably kept her longer and got her bigger than she really needs to be, but we were like, did we just miss it? Did we just miss her? So we ran through some cycles. So that's all learning. We're learning. We're sharing what we're learning with you guys. So that's, like I said, that's the main thing. Let's grow together. But we're getting there. So she's going. The one big sister's going, and then we got some that we'd purchased just for grow and meat out. So we got some meat coming. But back to the AI.
Yeah.
So we doubted too, because we were looking and we're like, she's a tad bigger.
Yeah.
But she's always been a little bigger.
Well, but so you were the one that continuously said, dude, she's pregnant.
Well, so I had watched them, and a couple of times, and you do a lot more of the feeding and daily there with them. So, because that's your main department, or that's your...
Yeah.
They'd all be gone. Anyway, so I was looking at her, and she looked obviously different. So I got to really looking, and I was like, her belly's shaped a little different than the other ones. It's a little bigger, but it's also shaped a little different, and her nipples were a little bigger. So I was like, all right, she's in heat. And as that went on, it didn't take long. It was, a week? And you were like, I think she is too, because she even got that much more prevalent.
Yeah. And so the date, like, if you don't know, pigs are like on dates. Like, they are 21 days, they go into heat, standing heat. So always calendar that when you realize when they're actually in standing heat, put that on the calendar and make sure you're keeping up with that. It makes things so much easier, and then instead of you just guessing, and then 2, you could be looking for that. The other thing is their pregnancies are 3 months, 3 weeks, and 3 days. And she gave birth the night before she was due.
I will say they're like clockwork.
I mean, it's
clockwork. It's crazy.
So I will say this, and then we'll move on to the actual birth. But so our pen right now that we have our ladies that we believe the others to potentially be pregnant. I'll say one more thing, and then we can move on from that. So I skipped the green one. We skipped 2 cycles, and then I went ahead and AI'd the blue one and the red one again. This time I was able to get 2 in both of them. So we're hoping, we're kind of thinking one definitely is. The other one, She's the most rambunctious one out of them, so we don't even know how good of a mom she would be, but she may be pregnant as well. So they are AI'd. We're still going to keep you up to date on that. But so it's been rainy, it's been cold, it's been nasty.
Timing was that's something we learned this way too. Like, man, I wish if we'd had enough, we were just excited, like to get the ball rolling, get something going.
Yeah.
And we really didn't project out, okay, if we are successful, and maybe that was some of the doubt too. We were like, let's just go ahead and do it because we're probably not going to have success the first time. Well, that being said, now she's had this litter and we're rolling into the teens in temperature.
Yeah.
So, you know,
I mean, they say spring, like a spring pig. Mm-hmm. I don't know this to be certain, but you know, you don't let them have piglets in the winter, and there are people that do it. I mean, they're like, hey, there's nothing wrong with it as long as you have a setup for it.
So we had to scramble.
So Friday, this past Friday, I went out there and I called John, and I was like, John, she is pregnant. Like it's finally like in my mind. Like it is. I've been watching her. I even went out there a couple of days before and got her to lay down and just took a picture of her side by side, her teats versus the other ones, and they were so swollen. And then once again, I'm going, maybe it's because she's just so big. But anyway, this was the moment that I knew she was pregnant. So it's Friday. And I called John, and our run-ins that we built for them are just muck. It is like, I would say 1.5 feet. Like you step in it, and it was just...
There's some high spots, but where they go the most of the time, they've got it rooted out pretty good. So.
Yeah. So we decided, hey, we're gonna put some pallets in there. We're gonna raise it up, try to get them in the dry. So I went out there. I was able to get that one specifically because we have 2 run-ins and 2 paddocks right now. And the one that the mom was in, we were able to get that one all the way up off the ground, sturdy, very sturdy, and put some hay in there and all of that stuff. So felt really good about that. Watched them just wallow in it. Loved it. The other girls were so jealous, just watching them kind of do that thing. And I leave. I even went out there Saturday morning to feed them. And the things that I've watched and things I've read, there's 2 things. Number one, when they're about to, there's actually 3 things. When they're about to give birth, they won't eat as much. Like they'll kind of be, because things are going on. So It's like, so they won't eat as much. She ate that morning. Then I think it was like 48 hours, maybe 24 hours, they start building a nest. So they'll go out and they'll grab a bunch of stuff. There's not much of stuff right now for them to grab, so there wasn't any identification right there.
But you put all that straw in there.
I did, but she was creating that inside that space, not going out and getting it. And then the last one would be milk starts flowing, and I wasn't in a position to go in there and try to
check that.
See that. So I leave. I go do something in the afternoon with the intentions of coming back later that night to get the other paddock the same way, like to go ahead and raise that up because we had, in the teens coming pretty quick, and we wanted to make sure they both had something dry, something they can get out and wallow in. Well, I get there around 5:30, and she didn't come up to the pen where we feed them. And I look over there, and I see a little one just popped up above her as she was laying down, and I took off running. And super excited. I mean, it was so much to celebrate in that moment that we actually...
I wish I could have been there to see.
Dude, I was screaming. Because, we did it. I literally said, we did it. And so she delivered without us. And there's no umbilical cords to cut or anything like that. The mom really does everything. And I will say this, as someone that went through it, you hear that and you think, yeah, but what do I need to do? The mom really does everything. Like, she really does every bit of it. And I think what was shocking was how clean they were. They were so clean.
Yeah, they look like, ones you'd see on a movie or something.
Yeah.
Like, super clean.
And so anyway, we went out there. So we have piglets. She delivered 9, which crazy. I mean, just crazy. And there was one that you could see that you would probably call her the runt. However, not just the runt. I would even say, I don't know if she was fully developed in the backside. Her 2 legs in the back weren't working. She was getting around. So kind of felt like that she would be gone, whether we're taking care of it or the mom would take care of it. And I would say probably, because they say, I think 24 to 48 hours too with that, like it takes them awareness to get out of the way from mom. So they're like them rolling over on them.
Yeah.
And then 2, the mom knows. Yeah. And so the mom potentially will, I mean, they'll eat them. They'll eat them. They'll eat them, or they will intentionally take care of it. We'll just say it that way, just to keep it nice and good. But so we're now at 8 healthy piglets.
Yeah,
excited. They're doing great.
Yeah,
they're doing great.
Even in the cold, they're doing great. You know, like I said, they're in that shelter and we're keeping plenty of hay on them and or straw, and they're making it. Ideally, you know, we'd like the weather to be warmer when we have them. So, but I mean, you know, it's a success.
Yeah.
So we learned a lot.
We did, and you know,
we're still no professionals by no means. But
are you kidding me?
But we know we're seeing, you know, all this come to fruition, and you know, we could be a little more aware of when we're breeding and when they're going to be born, and if that's a good time, and so it's just a learning curve, and I feel like we have like a sponge, we just absorbed a ton of knowledge with the pig.
Absolutely. I mean, like the fact that I know certain things, that's what they meant.
Yeah.
That something to be able to take away from that, like you said, for us, we just wanted to try it and see what happens. So winter was not really on our radar. We knew, but like we had kind of waited.
Although Tennessee winters aren't usually this cold, so it probably won't be a big deal. But yeah,
they're cold. So yeah, and so that brings us to the fact that we have 15 pigs right now.
Yeah.
You know, we're trying to figure out, like, I'll say this. This is crazy to think, and I don't know if you've really given it much thought. This time last year,
we didn't have nothing.
We had nothing.
Yeah, we hadn't even started.
I
don't think we even started conversation about the lease property at this time last year. Because when we started talking about it, we wanted to be started in March, but we didn't even make that deadline. We ended up not starting till midsummer.
Yeah. I can't remember
so
when.
Maybe we had started talking about it.
I think the conversations definitely had been had because I think we had at least talked about it. But that to say, not only do we have product that's been on property, but also we've been able to deliver like our first litter on property. I mean, that's
a lot of times we've been hard on ourselves for moving too slow. But in hindsight, you look back and it's like, well, we've made some progress in less than a year. So
part of me thinks that, like, because we made the joke one time is, hey, let's just go buy the thing and then we'll catch up to where it needs to be. Remember, because that was one of the things with the pigs. Like, we didn't even have the pen built for the piglets to be trained on or anything like that. We just went and bought them and then built it. And the joke was, hey, let's just go buy cattle and then we'll get the fencing up and all that.
Although we did that with the pigs and there was a lot of challenges involved because we were trying to hurry and get something going.
It's stress, but I feel like it's kind of our MO right now.
It is a motivator.
Because
but I think we got the hard part of the cattle fence in too, so we'll get. I'm not buying cows till we get fence.
I get that. It's just funny because that has been kind of like, my wife was giving me a hard time because, you know, I had to shift some things because Friday I went out there and I was like, my day now is going to be to build this thing. And so we're trying to make sure that we got everything we needed. And it was rainy. Here's the crazy thing. It was rainy, but it never rained when I was working on it. There's definitely a blessing there.
Absolutely.
It felt great too. That was the other thing. It was almost like God was saying, like, I would need you to get this done. So I'm giving you the correct weather to do it.
For sure. I mean, you know, one of the things too that we've come to realize and know and is when something happens on the farm, and anybody that's thinking about getting into it, just know, like, if something happens on the farm, everything else stops.
Yeah.
I mean, we had that little windstorm last week, and we had trees down, and it
Yeah.
was like, okay, well, I had other things to do that day, but we got to get trees off fences and all that.
And
so
it's kind of like the first one to it. And it's unfortunate, but it's kind of like it has to get done in that moment. Feeders get knocked over, and
yeah,
you have to rip them up and clean them out and drill them back. The fencing, electric fence, there's issues with that. So, but all that to say, like, what a great celebration of the fact that we have life on property. Now we're shifting gears to.
it's funny. I don't know that we're not that smart, or I don't know that we really put a lot of thought that we have thought about that, like, this is the way we want to do it. And this is how you do this. But it worked out too, because like right as this litter's coming in, we've got 4 ready to go.
We got some going off, yeah.
So,
but that's the other thing I was going to say was, now that we have these coming in and we have some going off, we do have to change our mind now to, they're going off, but where are they going? So we're starting to put together a plan for that when it comes to, we set out this creating a healthy product for our families, our friends, and our neighbors. And I would say our families are taken care of right now with some pork.
Yeah.
And so now we're moving to our friends and our neighbors. And so that starts that conversation of, what does that look like? How does that look like? What's the best vehicle to do that? And, when it comes to a conversation we were having just before this was, keeping all of them or selling some of them. We don't want too much on the property at one time. So even those type of decisions, like, those are things that when you're getting started, you're having to have these conversations, whether it's with a partner or with your spouse,
right,
or worse, with a partner and their spouse that they talk about behind your back. It's so funny. There's so many times, it's fine. Our wives are going to listen to this, but so many times that John's like, don't tell your wife this because she's going to do this. And the reason why he's saying that is because I already know his wife already said it. So,
she'll be like, you need to do this. And so they have a whole lot more of, on the compassion side, sometimes, or should I say, like, I'll just give you an example, like with our Percheon horses. You know, they're so big, so thick. We went through some snow last year, and they were fine. All our other horses are like quarter horses are shivering and everything. We're putting them in the barn or putting jackets on them, and the Percheons are fine. Well, this year we had some weather coming in, and my wife's like, we got to get those Percheons jackets. And I'm like, I don't think they need them. And she's like, I'm ordering them anyway. I don't want them to get wet. I get it. That's the compassion that I'm talking about, and there's zero wrong with it. I love that we have that because I'm all the time worried, looking at the production side, looking at, I'm doing shelters and all that, but this is more of like creature comfort type things, that I don't think they need. They think they need. It's great. That's fine. Anyway, she buys these blankets, and that did not work. I said, 10 minutes later, one of them's got one off, shredded. I mean, it's into nothing. I says, I think those Percheons told you they didn't want your jacket on. But she says, they ain't getting no more jackets. So, because they're not cheap. But, that's what our wives point out to us a lot with the pigs. Sometimes we may overlook because we're just trying to keep them fed, fenced in, blah, 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 water. We've got all these projects going on, and we'll get into those maybe on another episode. But, and then they're like, well, what about this? And we're like, well, we didn't even think about that. And sometimes it's frustrating because we're like, well, that's just more work for us.
That's another thing.
And we're stressed over this and not seeing that. But at any rate, if we could balance that and take that in without being frustrated, it's great that we have that perspective.
Yeah, so going back to a point, though, this time last year we had nothing.
Nothing.
So everything is being built, and we're not in a place, I would say next year we'll be in a place where we're not adding as much at one time. Like right now, we've added so much from learning, but also, we will have, 3 different products on our property by the end of this year. Oh, yeah. I mean, we will. So, every time we add that, there's a new challenge, there's a new area. Like right now, we're not having to drive down to the bottom of the field to figure out like if water's turned on or anything. No, we're just staying on the top.
Right.
So that'll switch. It'll switch to the fact that, oh, my truck got stuck because we had to drive. So there's a lot of when you start a farm or you start a homestead or something like that, like there is a season of you're putting in so much and you're learning as you are going. But next year there will be a time where we can rest in something that's just a routine.
Yeah.
And we'll add. We're going to add. I mean, we'll have calves. We'll have lambs. We'll have different things that we didn't this year, next year. But right now it's just a continuous build on top of that. So, when you build, that thing that you built doesn't really go away. It's just you still have to maintain it.
Well, it's like the infrastructure. Like our first pen, we ended up tearing down, and moving it because it was just, one, we'd outgrow it, but two, we're like, well, we're watering them in the wrong spots, and we're figuring all this out. So I think we did a great job. We built a bigger pen, put them in that, and then tore the old pen down and put it up against that pen. And so now we have two side-by-side pens. We've built a permanent shelter. Coming into winter, we were like, we need shelter. We hashed some ideas around about doing something quick because, weather is your greatest ally and it's your worst enemy all at the same time. In farming, whether you're farming for, whether you're a crop farmer or whether you're a livestock farmer, you always got to be watching that weather. So we said, you know what, we could build something. These pigs are destructive. They're going to lean on it, whatever. They're going to tear something down. So we just buckled down, built something permanent. And so we always have that there. And we actually built it on the ends where you could build around it if we need to, if we need to add to, and that was try to think. We try to think about forward thinking so we don't move things again or have to tear them down and start over. So that's an infrastructure that's boom, it's there, it's set. We're good to go for a long time. I mean, we could open the back out once they're on that bigger lot in behind on that pasture. You could open the back and they still have their run in. So all that being said, like you said, as we progress, we're going to have more to do, but we have that infrastructure for the pigs that'll always be there. So,
and I think no matter what let me say this. We both have jobs. So there is a lot of this that is happening on either day offs. I built that run in, like both of us, in the middle of the night. I mean, like using our nights. I mean, just get some headlamps out there, and my wife's like, that was I will say this real quick, just rabbit real quick. I was on the phone with you when the piglets were born. And I'm trying to figure out like the other two that are in the pen with her. Like I've heard like don't have others, or hey, it's good to have one in there. Like if she's motherly, and so one of them come in to the run-in where the piglets were, and I was on the phone with you.
I thought you got attacked or something.
And I start screaming because she's going over and actually walking over like where the piglets were, and ultimately probably stepped on a couple, but like it's fine. They're fine. But I dropped the phone, and just like in a movie, why would this ever happen? It turned off. It wasn't like I picked it up thinking you were still on the phone, but apparently it dropped, and all you heard was me screaming.
I heard no.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah. And then, so I'm dealing with everything, and I finally look up my phone, and it was your wife in our text thread. Hey, Lindsay, you might want to check on your husband, look on the camera to see if he's okay, because he was on the phone.
And she messaged back, he's still standing, he's fine.
I just thought that was a funny thing, because like that to me was, I mean, bro, I went to bed thinking, I woke up at peace. I had peace about it. I woke up thinking they were all dead. I had a nightmare that the mom rolled over on them and killed him. And that is a possibility. But like, it's funny because you can't stay out there all night to keep like your eye on them. The mom is going to make a mistake and step where she shouldn't step or roll over or what. She's a mom. She's learning too. Like,
but she's been great. And you said that the others literally like let her eat. first. 'Cause
Yeah,
she's the
so
mom.
that's one of the coolest things that I have seen, and just how cool it is. We go out there and we feed them. The one group, they'll of course come running up. The other group, they wait, and one will come at a time, and they won't leave the piglets alone. That's so cool to me. Like normally, Red and the boy will come up and eat, and then they'll go back, and then the mom will come eat. And there's someone babysitting the kids at all times,
crazy.
or it's the other way around. The mom comes out first, eats, and then they stay back. And it's just such a cool circle of life situation, or even like just knowing they don't need us. Like they do obviously to a level, but it's such a really cool thing that we didn't teach them that.
Right.
And it's so cool.
Yeah,
just
and
seeing,
the one we call Blue, right before the litter came, she got herself into the other pen because they're divided by a fence and electric wire on both sides, and somehow she got over there, and she ain't got back in either.
No.
So she went over there because she wanted to.
Yeah.
I wonder if she was like, she's about to have a litter, and
I'm
don't
getting
want to
out.
do it.
I'm getting out. But I think it's so cool. I've seen the boy. He's castrated, so he can be over there. But the boy laying in the run and letting those piglets jump on him. Like I had to check to see if he was dead. Like he was on the side.
Well, he got over there in one of those times where we did have a fence issue.
Yeah.
He got over there with the moms or the girls, and we couldn't get him back, and he always got along with them. So we just kind of left him over there.
I'll say get along, but those girls bully him.
Well,
they bully him. But yeah, we just wanted to give you a little update on the AI journey and the success that we had with it. We made it, and we've got 8 piglets as proof, and more hopefully to come from the other time, which that will be in a couple of months.
And let me just say this too. I mean, that was before we close out here. That was a big deal because when we thought we didn't know what we were doing, and AI was unsuccessful. We had already started looking at either taking ours to somebody that had a boar, and I talked to a guy that had one, and he would do that. Like I'd have to bring it to them, or paying him and getting his boar to our place. And then we'd had our issues with the boar before, with having a male. So that really wasn't. That's the challenge that we didn't want, and we'll talk about that when we get cows. But we've talked about that. Do we want a bull on property? Not only do you have to deal with that. With a in contact male, he's a little more rowdy, rambunctious usually. So that's something you got to deal with. Also, once your breeding program goes up, you got to cycle that guy out.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to.
Well, he's a one and done, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to, interbreed them. So we don't want to do that. So, that's one of those deals too. So with the AI being successful, that's also like a relief and exciting.
We did it.
Because we can always choose a different sperm donor, basically. So
that's right.
And then you could breed these babies that we have. So we don't have to change out, boars or bulls or whatever it is we're breeding. If that AI program works, we're going to try to integrate that also in the cattle and the sheep. So we'll be learning that and coming to you with that too. So walking through that with us.
Yeah, the other things too that we'll definitely keep you updated on is we'll be having to castrate. We're potentially, the weaning process, how does that work? Because
and that comes on quick, 20 days, 21 days.
And the thing with that is I kind of want them to stay longer because we don't have to feed them. You know what I'm saying? There's a win to that, but there's other issues when it comes to the cold, and then also the muck that's just been created of I hope they don't drown. That's been said, but a lot more to come. But very exciting, just knowing that what we're doing is working. Now we're looking at the retail side now of certain things, and so we'll keep you updated on that. But I'm glad that you guys are with us and listening to this right now, because it is something to celebrate. Because there's a lot of times I don't want to sit down and talk to you because it's just all the things that we have to do and the things we didn't do right, and this is something that we did right in a way. I mean, it was successful. There are certain things that we should have built and done, but at the end of the day, here we are.
There we are.
Well, cool. Hey, once again, you can check us out on
Spotify, Instagram, Facebook, X or
Twitter, whatever
you
that
call
is.
that. So yeah.
We'll post some more pictures of the piglets and the mom and all
Yeah.
that stuff, so you guys can see. So go to the socials and take a look at that.
Yeah, I do mostly Facebook's all I ever do, but
Dude, I don't know, man. I feel like I'm a stalker now. I'm not much of a poster, but anyway, awesome. Hey, thanks so much for listening or watching the Local Farmer Podcast.